Simplifying the product verification process for our partners, Citrix Ready brings to you the Printer Verification Automation Tool. With the Citrix Ready Verification Automation Tool for printers, you do not need to send your printer to us. The tool enables self-verification of printers, provides quick and accurate verification results, eliminates the need to ship devices, and saves your time and resources during the verification process. Let's begin by looking at the solution architecture of the tool to see how each machine interacts with each other. To begin, the tool requires a domain controller. This machine is a Windows server where Citrix Studio is installed. Next is the printer VDA, where the printer verification tests will be executed. This is a Windows machine. The printer VDA machine should be connected to the print server. And for a few test scenarios to be executed successfully, the tool will need the printer to be connected to the print server. This complete setup that you see now needs to be in the same domain. The initiator machine would run the automation tool. This could either be a Windows machine or a Windows Virtual Delivery Agent, VDA. The initiator sets up the connections with the Citrix Studio machine and executes the policy changes on it. The initiator then sets up the connections with the printer VDA and initiates the tests that need to be executed remotely on it. For another set of test scenarios to be executed successfully, we will need the printer to be connected directly to the initiator. After the setup, and before you begin the verification process of your printer, do install these two software components in all the machines that are a part of this verification process: Microsoft.NET Framework 4.5 or above, and PowerShell 5.0 or above. These software components are required for the tool to run successfully. Now let's move to step 1, remote setup of Citrix Studio machine. This is the Windows machine with Citrix Studio installed and configured. Begin by downloading the remote setup file on the machine where you have Citrix Studio installed and configured. Double-click the setup file to launch the remote setup tool. The tool will conduct a remote setup on the Citrix Studio machine. This remote setup has to be completed for the tool to successfully execute the test cases. Do install all the required software components. Once installed, click on Validate. The tool checks if the required software is installed or not. If any of the software listed is not installed, the status will show as Not Installed. Click the download link next to the corresponding software to install it. The tool will require both administrator and non-administrator accounts to be added to the PowerShell user group, with full control privileges given to these accounts. Do ensure that valid users are added to the user group, as the application is not equipped to validate the users added. Once the user accounts have been successfully added, click OK. The tool completes the rest of the setup. You can view the logs or click Close to exit the tool. Moving on to step 2, remote setup of the printer VDA machine. This is a Windows machine where VDA is configured and is also connected to your print server. Begin by downloading the remote setup file on the Virtual Delivery Agent (VDA) machine, and then double-click the setup file to launch the remote setup tool. The tool will carry out a remote setup of the printer VDA machine. Do install all the required software components. Once installed, click on Validate. The tool checks if the required software is installed or not. If any of the software listed is not installed, the status will show as Not Installed. Click the download link next to the corresponding software to install it. The tool will require both administrator and non-administrator accounts to be added to the PowerShell user group, with full control privilege given to these accounts. Do ensure that valid users are added to the user group, as the application is not equipped to validate the users added. Once the user accounts have been successfully added, click OK. The tool then completes the rest of the setup. You can view the logs or click Close to exit the tool. Next to step 3 and the initiator machine. This is a Windows machine where the initiator component of the automation tool runs to execute the test scenarios. This can either be an endpoint or a Virtual Delivery Agent (VDA) machine. Begin by downloading the highlighted file onto the Windows machine. Double-click the .exe file to launch the automation tool. Once launched, you are greeted by the Introduction tab. This tab details out the different machines needed for the automation tool and what each machine is used for. Click on Next to go to the Prerequisites tab. Before you begin the verification of your printer, do install all the software components mentioned in the Prerequisite tab. Once installed, click on Validate. The tool checks if the required software is installed or not. If any of the software listed is not installed, the status will show as not installed. Click the download link next to the corresponding software to install it. The next tab is the Configurations tab. Provide the required details to establish a connection with the printer VDA and Citrix Studio machine. Refer to the tooltip for more details. After successful authentication, click on the Settings icon to view the system configuration of all the machines. You can click the Refresh icon if you are unable to view the system configuration of any of the machines. Click on Next on the main screen to move to the Test Scenarios tab. To run specific test scenarios, check, uncheck the appropriate checkboxes corresponding to the test scenarios. By default, all the checkboxes will be checked. Click on the Validate button to initiate the execution of the selected test scenarios. Do not close the application abruptly while the tests are being executed. This will affect the test results. Do follow the instructions displayed for each test scenario. The logs will show the results for each of them. If the status shows as error for any test scenario, do check the logs for more details. If any test scenario has failed or there is an error, you can rerun only that specific test scenario. Select the checkbox for that test scenario and click on Validate again. After you have completed the verification, click on Generate Report to view the results for all the test scenarios. Before you exit the automation tool, remember to save the reports by clicking on Generate Report and choose Save Report and Export Report. Once you exit the tool, all the results will be lost and cannot be recovered. You will have to start the verification process again. Click on the Save Report button to save a local copy of the results in PDF format for your reference. Click on the Export Report button to save the results in PDF format. This PDF file is password protected and needs to be submitted in the Citrix Ready verification platform to validate the results by the Citrix Ready team. Click on the Close button to exit the application. For more information or feedback, write to us at citrixready@citrix.com.